Other interesting political news, you have car companies to give your location to police without a warrant. Reason 9,958,458,713 to drive a good old vehicle with less tech. Also don't have to, make payments for 50 plus years of the price of new cars these days. Now, this is brought to us thanks to The Drive, and specifically, it is a writer by the name of James Gilboy, and he says, quote, car makers will give your location to police without a warrant, Senator says. 8 manufacturers reportedly told Congress that they comply with the request for driver data without a court order. It is disgusting to say the least. Now, these companies are also heavily metaphorical. They have a gun to their head because the government is also destroying their businesses and kneecapping them with good old EPA regulations, and kneecapping them in forms of fining them for emissions and telling them they have to have certain fleet standards when it comes to fuel economy, which is a de facto ban on internal combustion engines, and why so many vehicle companies are manufacturing EVs, which, ironically, depending on where you live, are worse for the environment because of where you get your electricity from. Now, going down more and more, you see a little dystopian photo, or picture rather, of all the cars with, it looks like an IoT from one of my tech conferences actually. It shows all the cars basically being like mini computers all interconnected, which is concerning in and of itself from a security perspective. Yeah, probably shouldn't have a car like be hacked remotely and then, crashed or anything like that. But nevertheless, going down to the actual article, you have James saying, quote, connected cars data security has become a political battleground in recent years as new cars have become ever more high-tech. Consumers have good reason to want their data kept private, and on the service, the auto industry is an ally in that front. Behind the curtain, the industry is reportedly playing fast and loose with customers' data, selling it, or reportedly even handing it over to police, despite promising not to. Going down more and more, talking about how even here. And ironically enough, the Biden administration, one of the reasons they said they're putting a big tax on Chinese EVs because, national security and privacy. Yeah, that's not the real reason. Going down more and more. Now, kind of breaks my heart because a couple of these companies make some fantastic vehicles that I previously had thought someday I'd like to own. Now, they note that, quote, automotive news reports that Toyota, Subaru, Mazda, Nissan, Kia, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen have told Congress that they would hand over drivers' data if faced with a subpoena. There's a major difference between a subpoena and a court order, according to APA Practice Organization, which says that a subpoena is a lawyer's assertion that he or she is entitled to that requested information, while a court order determines that the lawyer is in fact entitled to it. In other words, a subpoena is a request for information. A court order is a judge or a magistrate backing that request. Which is disgusting to say the least. And yet another reason not to buy a fancy new car that will, cost, what it is. The average new cost of a vehicle in the United States these days is $50,000, which, geez Louise, I can't fathom that. I got pretty fortunate in terms of I got my car pre-pandemic. I mean, my car, $26,000 for the Honda Civic Si out the door, which I paid a premium because it was new and I was in a kind of a bind where I needed a certain vehicle. And I was gonna say, I'm not too worried about depreciation because I'll own that thing until the wheels fall off. I love it. It's got 3 pedals, as every car should have, also known as a manual transmission. I smile ear to ear every time I drive it, especially when I'm downshifting into a quarter at the track. But nevertheless, it's one of those things where Republicans and Democrats say they always want to help us out. They're fighting for us, but usually pretty disappointing to see what they actually do behind closed doors. And one of the things they all pretend to care about, both left and right, is privacy and consumer protection. And yet, a lot of them are bullying these automotive companies to share their data. And even more disappointing, companies are giving in and acquiescing to their demands. Which, again, if they want to be a stalwart of freedom and, actual privacy, these car companies should make it crystal clear. Well, first of all, a better use case would just be to disable that feature completely, rip that crap out of the car. Everyone has a smartphone if they need a GPS, directions on a map. There's no reason for your car to have one. No real reason, I would argue. I understand there's some reason you might be worried about theft or something. Even then, I don't know how much is really recovered, but nevertheless, when it comes to my personal property, I would rather have less people intertwining with it than more. Now, let me know, do you think this, again, in terms of politics, one of those things where, again, left and the right, they seem to not really protecting our liberties. Do you think this will actually have any difference in terms of consumers voting differently? Or, I guess consumers, I should make that such a business orientation mindset. I should clarify, do you think it'll have citizens voting differently? Do you think, some politicians will actually kind of run on this, maybe make a little campaign out of it. It might be a good way to get some, extra points or good chess move on the political chessboard. I can certainly see that, especially hopefully someone like Rand Paul will actually see this and bring it to the forefront attention and say it's unconstitutional for the government to have so much invasive capabilities. Unfortunately, people like him in DC are exceedingly rare. But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave us a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.